Hey guys, Station X here, and today we're going to be taking a look at another Hyperkin Duke controller. This one's a little different though. I know I've done at least two so far. I've done the original one, and I've done the translucent green one. But this one's a little different because this one here is the 20th anniversary Hyperkin Duke controller. I didn't do an unboxing for this back when it first came out just because I just couldn't find it anywhere, to be frank. But I did finally find one for a good price because I really didn't want to pay a crazy amount for it on Amazon or eBay, because you know I feel like paying over $100 for something like that, like this, is just kind of a little out of my price range personally. But you know, meanwhile, it's not like super different compared to the original. Of course, as you could see, there's not a whole lot of differences. Just the fact that this is green, and you have this little logo right here. It's still an interesting controller just because of the fact that you do have some new additions. The fact that there's a share button right here, so this kind of makes it a Series X controller in a sense. And just the fact that this is celebrating the 20th anniversary of the, you know, Xbox in general. And it's got a little difference, as you can see here. The big gimmick of the original was to, we're gonna just show this, but the original gimmick of the Hyperkin Duke controller was the fact that it had the big screen play the boot up play the boot up of the original Xbox. And while it still does that, it just kind of extends it a little bit. We're gonna show what it does later on in the video, but just kind of showing off the box a bit. It's also got a Windows Central Gaming Awards 2018 Best Gaming Controller. Of course, this didn't come out in 2018, but it was just, you know, it's a little thing that they put out there. Let's open this up very slowly. There we go. It's a little different. The box is actually a little bigger. Of course, we got all this nice goodness right here. Thank you and all that. Got some stickers here. And then the coup de grace, the controller itself. Now, the D-pad's different. It's got this nice green, like this kind of lime green. It almost looks like a slime, in a sense, a slime D-pad, just because the original Duke controller D-pad's a very weird looking one. Not the most traditional thing in the world, but if you've seen a Duke controller, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Like, it looks fairly similar, and of course it has the modern differences that original Hyperkin one did. So I don't necessarily have to go over all the major differences, but I'll just quickly go over it right here. This is a little different now. This is flush with the controller originally. If you go back to the Hyperkin video I've done originally, the control the wire port is not flush with the controller. It's kind of sunk in, so you had to have that specific wire. Here they fixed that, which is really nice because you don't have to find the specific wire, which I think is in here as well, which is it's this nice green one. It's not just a standard black cable. It's this nice green. But yeah, like, you don't have to find a specific USB-C cable now if you lose it or get, you know, somehow something happens to it. You could just use a regular USB-C cable, anything that you have, which is pretty nice. Of course, this is originally where the memory card was on the first version of the controller 20 years ago. And of course, same deal, the exact same kind of thing with the original Hyperkin Duke controller, just now with this 20th anniversary logo. And it's got a bit of a different texture here, but of course another thing that's again new is that share button. And I like how they do kind of match it with the other controllers. It wasn't just the same button that was on the Series X controller slapped on here. They at least match it to the theme of the controller. And I can never get used to how big this thing feels. It's just like, it's such an odd feeling controller, but in a good way. I've said this in the first video that if you're a real big fan of the Duke controller, then this is just something that's really nice. I just wish that in one of these like variations that they sell, that they made it wireless, because the one complaint I have is the fact that you need this wire. It's a nice wire. This one's actually very sturdy. This is not like some flimsy wire that they give you. And of course, again, it's USB-C. But I just wish it was wireless. It's like $80, I want to say. I think it retails for either $70 or $80, which is a bit more than a standard Series X controller. And the fact that it's wired kind of annoys me a bit. But I mean, you know, at least it's still kind of like nostalgic in the sense that, like, oh, you're playing a wired controller and this was always wired. But I just wish if they're gonna release this again, say like another Duke controller, that they make it wireless. I just would love to see that happen. And of course, you got the headphone jack here. One thing I would love to see, I don't know, let me know if you guys feel the same. There is a second version of the Xbox original controller. It is the slim one, and I would love to see that get a Hyperkin release, you know? Like, imagine that and make that one wireless. That would be a huge, huge thing for me. I would love to see that. And it could still keep that gimmick, even though, like, the logo on that controller was a little smaller. I'd love to see that gimmick on that controller as well. Here we go. And look at that. That's such a shiny thing right there. Of course, the one thing I do hate about it is the fact that it is very fingerprint heavy. So I could see that gonna get fingerprints very easily. But yeah, very much green here. Now I'm gonna show off what the logo, like, because they did extend the boot up screen portion that they normally use for this thing. So we're gonna get to that in a second. So I actually took some time to set up the original Hyperkin Duke controllers. I just wanted to show what it would normally be. Now, of course, actually, what I find interesting here is that, so as you can see, here's how the plug situation is here. Actually, it took some time for me to find the cable for this thing, but yeah, it's not the USB-C. And you plug that in, I don't know if you can hear it, but it does do the rumble. So that's an interesting thing right there. And of course, the boot up screen, and when you hit the home, it'll constantly do that. And so that's pretty much what it looks like right there. And to me, that's just awesome. That's just an awesome feature right there. But when you plug this in, it does not rumble. It does not do the rumble feature. And so there goes the boot up screen, and then boom, right there. Shows the 20th and the Xbox logo, like the new kind of Xbox logo. Now it kind of just stays like that, so, which is kind of I mean, at least it's different, I guess, because now instead of having the original Xbox logo, you're just having the kind of new Xbox logo, or the current one. And so yeah, and I mean, all the buttons function exactly the same, including the share button now that they added. But yeah, like, you got the bumpers and triggers, all that, it works exactly the same. And so this could be used just like how the Hyperkin, the original version, this can be used exactly like a standard Series X or Xbox One controller. You could completely use this for any game. It's just probably not going to feel the most comfortable for every game, but I mean, most of the time, either people have it just kind of stored as a collector's piece, or they just use it as a controller to use for the original Xbox games that are backwards compatible. And they actually had recently did like this big final like list to add to all the to the compatibility list for both original Xbox and 360. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they're gonna just stop doing that. I feel like they didn't do as many games as I would have liked to have backwards compatible for the original Xbox, but I feel like, I guess, that would have been a tall task to do just because of how they were doing it. So I mean, you gotta, it is what it is, sort of deal. But this isn't all that's in with the controller. No siree. So in the box, we're gonna just take this foam out. It actually comes with a controller stand. You hear that right? This thing has a controller stand that you could use to display your controller. And I just think that's a real nice touch. That's something that the original Hyperkin did not include, and I kind of wish it did, because it's a unique controller. It's not a controller I feel like you're going to use in your everyday usage of the Xbox, and so I just thought that was kind of amazing. That's such a neat idea that I would have loved that for the original, but hey, we got it here now, so I'm sure there is another alternate color of this controller. They did one of these in a white and black sort of deal instead of black and green. So that, of course, will come with a controller stand as well. And they did do a different one, which hopefully I will cover in a future video. I don't want to give it away, but I guess you can kind of guess what that is. So let's just open that right here. And there you go. Well, that's interesting. It comes in like this. Hope you could take that off. I spent a few minutes trying to take that off. I actually don't know. I mean, I bought this new, so I don't know why half of this is like kind of ripped off here. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But regardless, you just stick these pieces in here. Like so, and that's how it's supposed to look. And then you just take your controller and just, there you go. And I mean, look at that. Now, of course, this is probably gonna look a lot prettier without all this these labels here and stuff, but I mean, what a nice idea that is, to just include a stand. A stand can make a much better difference in displaying your controllers. Now, typically, a lot of the controllers, since I don't necessarily have space, I'll just throw in a drawer until the time comes where I have enough space to properly display these. So anytime they include an acrylic stand or just any kind of thing to display it with, I'm all for having that. Because it's also another thing of getting the stands for these different controllers do cost a little bit of money. So I mean, you know, having this included is just such an awesome thing for me as a collector. And that'll pretty much be it. Please let me know what you think of the Hyperkin Duke controller. Is it one of your favorite nostalgic controllers of all time? And what do you think of this 20th anniversary variant? Do you think it's worth it? I'm still a little on the fence. I guess if you don't own a Hyperkin Duke controller, this is very much worth it, because I think the Hyperkin itself, the Hyperkin Duke controller, is pretty worth buying. But if you already own the original one, this doesn't do that much different things other than a longer boot screen and the share button, and I guess you do get this display stand included. But if you don't have one, I would honestly go with this one over the original, to be honest with you. So, but that's just my opinion. I've been Station X, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.